Ayo, welcome into CHGO. Steven, can we reset this? Or is that not allowed? All right, let's 3, 2, 1. And this is where you should cut off the audio. Ayo! That's about better one. Ayo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Coming to you live from our houses, our second show of the day, if you can't tell. It's been like a long couple days, Herb. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
I was waiting for it. You can follow him on Twitter at AcnerWall23. Our lovely Brawler Sox is blocking. Oh, there you go. Oh, look at Steven with the clutch switch
right
to
on
the logo.
I was ready for it.
Very nice. You can follow him on Twitter at AcnerWall23. Follow the show on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. Vinnie Duber will be joining us later on from Guaranteed Rate Field. We talked to Lynn and Lucas Giolito today from the clubhouse, and we'll bring the video and audio to you. It would really suck if we just had the video of Lynn speaking, because kind of defeats the point. We have both, thankfully, and we'll talk a little bit maybe about this game. Sox lose 6-3, and I live bet the Guardians -3 at +135, so we won money again. Herb, yay! How you feeling?
I'm feeling good because you're going on the trends where if you get plus money on any team going against the White Sox, take it. Definitely take it. Even if it's in game when they're down by 5 runs, when the Cubs are playing them. Yes, perfect time to take the Cubs and some extra money for yourself. Cody didn't take my advice yesterday at the game, Cody Del Mendo from CHGO Cubs, but if you do in the future, you take my advice. White Sox are leading the game late. Go and bet the other team. Win more money than you lose.
Absolutely, and you did that yesterday. And yeah, I mean, Jake Burger, I guess, is the one thing that we can take away from this game. Fred mentions, so like Ozzy, I feel like it's time for Moncada to play second base and Jake playing third. Jake had earned it. Let's just go right to Jake Burger. He hits 2 home runs today. We saw a homer yesterday live and in person. Now, since moving to second base, he's got 3 homers. What do you make of the move to second? I mean, the reason they put him at second base is because they need his bat in the lineup. I don't understand a position flip. Jake Burger seems to be doing okay at second base, and we know Moncada's a better third baseman. What do you think?
Yeah, if Jake can man the position as he has, I mean, there's a couple missteps that I can notice as a usual second baseman would do, but for the most part, what he gives you offensively negates anything that he does bad on the defensive side, and I haven't seen anything very egregious on Jake's side as yet. So, yeah, there's no reason where you should take Moncada where he's from and take him back to second base and play in a position that he has told people in the past. And I know recent comments, he wants to please the team. And I think that's out of him being out of the game so much and being injured. He wants to kind of like pay back type of, hey, I'll do whatever the team wants me to do, kind of be that team player that people don't think that he is. But I don't want him to play a position that he has already expressed in his career that he doesn't like playing, and that he says that he's a better third baseman, which we've seen when he's healthy. He's a pretty good third baseman. We saw the play yesterday where he's taken out of bounds and then does the underhand throw to get the Cubs runner out. That's fantastic, but we've seen that all the time. We see flashes of that all the time. He's too often injured to show that type of a play all the time, but I would not move him off of third base for Jake Burger as yet. I applaud Jake. It's a great year, awesome year. But he's not a player that you're going to be taking other players off of positions just because. I think he needs to prove it for multiple years until I think about making the move on Yoan Moncada, which, fortunately, I think will be his last year. No, he's got a year after that one, right? 25?
Yeah, he's got a player option then. So, I mean, 2025, or he's got a club option. So, I mean, they're probably going to say, see ya. It's been nice.
So theoretically, yeah, they'll leave him alone. That's when I'll move Jake over. He's young enough still, but I'm not moving off Yogan yet.
So Fred says Moncada is gone after next year.
Mainly because it's makes way too much money.
Him. Well, he makes a ton of money, but I mean, Jake Burger is fun to watch. It's a great story. The 2 homers are probably going to bring him closer to his career averages of OPS plus of like 113 or so. He's still not perfect in any way. I mean, he's a natural DH playing second base. He doesn't really give you a platoon advantage like Mike Moustakas did. Like Mike Moustakas was a power hitting lefty at second base. Like that was truly unique. And yes, Berger now has 24 homers. I think he's 5th in the American League. That means something. But is there anything to all of them coming at guaranteed rate field? Like the eye pitch we know is now on the road. It seems like this dude only homers at home. I don't get it. It's fun to watch. But I do wonder how much he's drawing interest because it doesn't seem like he's a name that's popping up on Twitter. It seems like they'll sell anybody, and it doesn't seem like his name's popping up. I don't know if that's because the Sox wouldn't get rid of him. We've heard the untouchables are Andrew, Aloy,
Luis.
Yeah. Yeah, my bad. It's a slow day. We had the whole Rosemont thing. That seems like yesterday. The Cubs the day before that. This is it's the longest day of my life.
I've changed shirts. That's how long the day was.
I hope you shot it after walking through that crazy hot incubator of a bridge. Oh my God. And then did you find your car?
I did. They have a weird parking system, and we're talking about the Rosemont Convention Center. Thanks to the folks that have us out there today at the National Sports Collectors Convention. It was awesome. But when we go from the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center to across the street, there's a walkway above the street, and it is Devil's like playground. It is the hottest thing of all time. You would think that they would have some type of air conditioning. You're better going outside and dealing with the 95. But yes, I walked through that parking lot that you and Vinny parked at, and then my car was on the interior of the other parking lot or other parking garage. So I had to search for my car for about a good 10 minutes, put the alarm on, and heard it, and I walked to it.
So did you have to, and Clark is asking, 15 of 21 at the rate, 16 of 22, 17 of 24. Homers of Jake Berger have come at home this year. So did you have to go out of that parking structure and then walk to the other one?
No, I just walked through the parking structure that you guys were in. It was just at the other side. They're connected. It's just really far. I was at 4H and I was looking at 4A. So I was like way away from where I needed to go. It's unnecessary that they built it that way, but whatever.
I was in 4K, which was very easy to remember because I just thought TV. But I ran into an issue where the first parking garage that we went to, that you and Vinny and I were at, I ran out of space. Like I think I got to like 4C, and then there was like a cinder block wall, and then like there was more cars on the other side, but there was like a little bit of a gap. So like there was a cinder block kind of wall, and then like a little bit, maybe like 5 inches down was another cinder block wall, and maybe the inch gap was about like 5. Like it wasn't crazy, but it was definitely a step or two. So I didn't see that they were connected. Mm-hmm. So I did my parkour, I did my Spider-Man, and jumped that little gap there. I made it. So I didn't know they were connected.
Wow.
It was stupid, but I did that.
I'm about to say, you about to die in a parking garage?
Well, I didn't. It was a hot day. I didn't know what else to do. I was really just trying to get to my fucking car. But yeah, I don't know if Jake Berger's drawn a ton of interest, which is why, like, it seems like, I mean, not even Tim Anderson's drawing interest, and we'll get more into trade rumors later on. But it seems like Tim's not drawing a ton of interest, and we said this earlier. It seems like the position players are set for this team. Like, I mean, in 2024, is it going to be 2024 next year? That's insane.
Correct.
Andrew Vaughn at first, second base. Hello, Jake Berger. Shortstop Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada at third, Benny in left field, Luis in center field. Colas has a good enough arm to try him out in right. We'll see if it's the Sebi and Carlos Perez show. Maybe Caro has a crazy spring and finish to Double-A. I know he's 21.
I hope not.
Hey, maybe he's as good as Juan Soto. I hope he is. I don't want to play that game though. I heard prospect humping on 670 the score today, and I thought that was the best way to brand that.
This is Parkins.
No, I think it was Lawrence.
Okay. Wow.
I think Lawrence.
I would have put Parkins on that one, but
I would put Spiegel. So I mean, they're all just that's just the think tank right there. I mean, that's all that transition brain.
Yeah, I was thinking, Sean, that the weird part about the catcher situation is today you saw some of the flashes that people rave about Sebi, the pass ball or the wild pitch kind of thing that I don't know, Arias tried to advance onto second, and Sebi throws kind of a no-look laser to Timmy, and he gets him out by a good 2 to 3 feet. And we see he's better with the pitchers than what Yasmani has presented. But the only thing is that the guy can't hit. He strikes out 8 times as much as he walks.
Right.
That's bad. That's hella bad. And so you cannot go back next year with that tandem. Carlos Perez is unproven, and Sebi Zavala has been given plenty of time this year and plenty of time last year to tell you that he's a backup. And to not come back with him as the starter is ideal, but the free agent pool out there, not great either.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see again when the dust settles where the White Sox do acquire. I mean, maybe they're able to get a fringe arm that will be able to fill out the rotation. But Fred's right. I mean, if Han is running back the position player group and have to add 3 more starters, yikes. Vinnie Duber's so prompt. He's already here 11 minutes into the damn show. But I agree with Fred right there. And 2, I mean, to your point with Sebi, like 2 stolen bases again today. I mean, they still had the ability to run all around the bases. He had an error thrown out into the outfield, and I think they took another base on that throw. So, I mean, he isn't perfect. And, I mean, you bring up the bat. The funny stat that I saw yesterday was at the Cubs game was him and Grandal have the same amount of games with multi-home runs. So I don't know what that speaks about with Sebi, but he runs into a few just in very small spurts. He gets real hot and then cools off for a long while. But let's take a break, and then we'll welcome in Vinnie Duber, and we'll talk a little bit about the Lance Lynn and Lucas Giolito quotes. We'll play some of that for you, and then we'll talk about what the team had to say later today. But let's let you know about Sunnyside Summer Fridays. Herb, is anyone making you feel good on the White Sox?
Jake Berger is making me feel real good on the White Sox.
Look at you. There you go. Jake Berger has made us feel good this week from Chicago Sports, and Summerside Summer Fridays from Summerside Cannabis Dispensary is all about owning the weekends. Summer Fridays, they're leaving the office early. They're, I mean, Jake Berger's wife is like asking him to knock her up on Twitter. I mean, hey, it's all about having some good times. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide variety of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. They have easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They have great transparency loyalty programs as well, Sunnyside Rewards, and their Illinois' favorite dispensary from the city to the suburbs, from Wrigleyville to River North, Champaign to South Beloit. They have a ton of great in-house brands as well that their bud tenders can tell you about if you are new to your cannabis journey, like Mindy's, Good News. Herb loves that brand. Cresco, High Supply, Floricale, Wonder, Remedy. And through August, head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. They have 1 use per customer, and it's not stackable with other promotions. And that's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. So head over to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. Own the weekend, and anyone can use that code. So pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or a Illinois Med card holder. Also want to let you know about our friends over at Hooters. I saw the ad behind them. They're celebrating 40 years in business. It's their 40th anniversary. Hooters is your spot to catch all the games this season. You have 11 Chicagoland locations, and you can check out their website, originalhooters.com, for more info. But step up to the plate for their world-famous wings, delicious seafood, stacked sandwiches, salads, and more. I do really love their buffalo. I think they got the best buffalo sauce out there, so shout out to Hooters. Tons of great beer specials and 6-day drinks all day, every day. And check out their seafood specials, $19.83 for a pound of crab legs, and great prices on buffalo shrimp and steamed shrimp. Hooters is celebrating 40 years in business all year long, and in honor of the anniversary, on the 4th of every month, Hooters will be hosting throwback events, bringing back the 80s with 83-cent wings and other great specials. The next one is on August 4th, so again, check out one of their 11 Chicagoland locations at originalhooters.com. Let's go out to Guaranteed Rate Field. Hi, Vinny.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
You didn't change your shirt.
No, I haven't been home. I came right here.
Right. I just kind of want to paint the picture of the working man. I mean,
I feel
you
like,
just,
well, this is not my Rush shirt, so don't go with the working man reference necessarily. But
you're too hot to handle in that press box.
Hard to handle.
Damn it. God.
But hey, you'll get it right one day. What are you guys doing home? You get to go home? Come on, what's up with this now? Why aren't you in the studio?
I don't know. I'm not gonna.
Some of us went into work today.
You did. How was Gene and Jude's?
Gene and Jude's was good.
Nice.
It was good.
Check out Vinny's latest article at allchgo.com. He is our AllCHGO beat writer for the White Sox, and he wrote about Lance Lynn's surprising comments. We'll play Lance in a bit. You joined us real early, a real prompt today. What did you make of Lance's comments? Because he was pretty open on foul territory today, the AJ Przinsky podcast, but I know not everyone's watching that. But he was also kind of open with you guys in the clubhouse, when you guys walked in.
Yeah, it didn't really hit so hard when he was saying it. He kind of delivered all those lines in the same tone that he has really every time he's talked to us this year, and obviously he's had a lot of post-game media sessions that have taken place after he's performed quite poorly. So it kind of sounded like kind of the same old Lance Lynn that we've been hearing, and then you come back upstairs and transcribe things and read them back in the words in front of your face, and you're like, oh my. He had some strong comments today about kind of how he has perceived his experience here at the trade deadline, especially and in particularly yesterday when he woke up to a bunch of trade rumors on Twitter, like all of us did, and saw that his name was being mentioned with not one, not two, but three different teams, and asked about kind of what the communication has been like. He said there really hasn't been much. So obviously it's important to remember that this is one side of the story, and perhaps things are different behind the scenes, but to hear a veteran guy talk about how in past instances he's been kept in the loop, in past instances there's been a lot of greater communication, apparently he's not feeling that he's getting that from the White Sox front office right now.
Yeah, why don't we play the comments and then we'll have Herb react to them. And there's also apparently a fourth mystery team too, so we can speculate about who that mystery team might be. But here is Lance Lynn's comments that Vinny was trying to illuminate there.
Today, it sounds like you're pretty open and aware of everything that's going on.
I actually know nothing. I haven't been talked to about anything and all that. School starts next week, and I'm taking all my kids' stuff, clothes home to them so they can have a good school year.
That's smart. Do you expect to go? I mean, is that something that you...
Everyone around the league's telling me I'm gone, but I've yet to hear anything from anybody here, so never know.
What kind of limbo is that? I mean, I think you've been doing it before. You haven't done it. I mean, you just keep doing your work here, and if someone taps you on the shoulder, then you...
Yeah, I mean, in the past I've had, a little bit more communication, knowing what's going on, knowing what might happen. So, this is, one of those things you just prepare for it. It's a business. Wherever you go, you got to do your job.
What does all this trade deadline stuff do to a clubhouse that's already been through a lot this year in terms of emotions and results?
It turns it over to maybe new beginnings, to be honest. That's where it's at. We've underperformed. People are going. People are going to new teams because of that. And, now let's turn the page over to see, who's going to be a part of whatever is going to happen here in the future.
What do you, when you wake up and you have that, I mean, do you react at all? Do you call your agent? I mean, you have a family, like you said, and all that.
It's like, well, you got people, when you wake up and there's three different teams that you supposedly have been traded to, that's the world we live in now. News gets out that's not true, and then next thing you know, you just have to answer questions about it.
Are you asking your agent to communicate with the front office?
I've asked to communicate with everybody because, when you play long enough in this game, you just assume that you're going to be kept in the loop of what things might happen.
To Cheryl's point, have you been told to just sit tight, or you've been told nothing?
I've been told we got nothing for you.
How do you view you have the no trade protection, I think, for 10 teams. I know different veterans view it different ways. How do you kind of view it for your purpose?
When it's all said and done, if they have a deal that they like to one of those teams, they can come ask me to waive it. And like I've already mentioned, if it's a team that's got a chance to win, that's what I'm about.
I saw a dude in a basketball jersey, and I immediately thought Grandal was still wearing that damn thing. It was Kopech. All right, we can calm down. Herb, what do you make of the back and forth? I think especially at the end about the agent. I think Cheryl asked the question, like, have you asked your agent to be in communication? And, he resoundingly said, I've heard nothing.
I don't know. Lance is forthright with his answers. I don't think he ever has an agenda. He got asked questions. He answers them honestly and earnestly. And I'm sure that Vinny and the media and people like that love that, and it's good. I like honesty in what he's feeling. So to him to say what he's saying, it's not an agenda. It's not how, like, you could kind of like see other players do this in the media, and you're like, why wouldn't you just go to the team? But I think Lance has let his emotions know, or let the people know around him that he's not happy. And other teams like the Texas Rangers, when he was rumored to get traded to the White Sox, were like, we're going to give you the opportunity to be involved in it. And it was rumored that he didn't want to get traded to the White Sox at the 2020 trade deadline. And so they waited to after the season. So he might be a little miffed on how the White Sox move, but I have very little qualms on how the White Sox are treating it. Why would you keep him in the loop unless you have a deal done? I don't know. Keeping it quiet is their modus operandi. They want to not get the word out to special people, to other people. They want to keep it in-house. But I think Lance has a gripe, but also I think the White Sox are doing right by him and right by their club. So I see both ways here. I'm not going to crap on the White Sox just because Lance has a problem with them. I think both can be right and both can be true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vinny, sorry, I'll seemingly try to hopefully direct you. Or, why don't you just jump in? Sorry.
No, what I was going to say is like what I have thought about this today with this after he said that was Herb, what you said was right, and why would you want to keep a guy updated on every text and every phone call you get, whether it might go somewhere or not? I mean, that's kind of annoying probably after a while if you were to behave that way. But that being said, this is not some guy. This is Lance Lynn. He's a veteran player, very much a respected leader in the clubhouse, a guy who they signed to a contract extension to fill the role of being a leader and a guy who could be at the top of this pitching staff. Obviously, things haven't gone his way the last 2 years in terms of results on the field, but that hasn't stopped him from being a very big presence within the walls of that clubhouse and on this roster. So, this is maybe a guy that you might handle a little differently because he's been around and because he has such a prominent role on this team, as opposed to a guy in the bullpen or a bench player or someone who just got to the Middleton major leagues. Whatever. I'm not trying to compare to actual players. I'm just trying to point out how respected Lance is, and maybe he is a guy that you would treat a little differently. But then again, also maybe this is just the way that they operate. Herbie brought up their willingness to want to stay out of the conversation, to keep themselves under the radar, and certainly that's what happened last night. That there was no hint or word of that trade until it broke after the game was over. And I think Jeff Passan had it on Twitter, but it was literally the second that it hit our inboxes. So yeah, they've succeeded at that recently, and they might be trying to do so again with Lance Lynn.
Yeah, and I think it seems pretty clear that he's getting traded, and maybe that's all he needed was for Rick Hahn to be like, hey, headed into this trade deadline, we are likely going to trade you. Like, maybe that's all Lance wanted, was a simple conversation of Rick to, give him a heads up that he's traded. Because Lance Lynn's on today on AJ Przinsky's podcast being like, yeah, here's the 3 teams that I know are interested in me, and there's a 4th mystery team. Like the Dodgers, the Rays, and the Rangers are all interested in me, and I know there's a 4th team I read this morning that I can't think of. His words, not mine, and I haven't been able to find the 4th team. So
we'll he
call
just
it mystery team.
I mean, that's just him reading the same stuff we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
True. I mean, Bob Nightingale tweeting saying that after the Lucas Giolito trade was done, that Lance Lynn is next. I mean,
I'm just saying, did he say anything that we didn't see on Twitter this morning?
No, you're right. No, that's
true.
What
he said he woke up to was that, right?
So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, just trying to play devil's advocate here. I agree with you guys that I mean, what are you going to tell him? I mean, the whole point of that he's saying is like, I got to know what to do with my kids. Well, you're going to know by August 1st at least, right? Like, it sucks that you have to be waiting like that, but it's not like, oh, we'll start scouting schools in Tampa Texas, LA. Oh, and there's a fourth mystery team, and we never know who could come calling, down the line. So I do understand not keeping the player into the loop, and even Melissa's sounding off saying, I'll take any opportunity to say something bad about the Sox, but come on, Lance. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, but at least us reading the tea leaves / Twitter, Bob Nightingale saying Lance Lynn is the next one to go. That is mostly our topic here, our headline. Who is the next White Sox to be traded? Do you guys think that Lance Lynn, with the amount of activity that we saw yesterday with his name popping up in the rumor mill, to be the next Sox to be walking out that clubhouse?
I mean, it seems more likely because he's the most valuable White Sox that seems to be on the trading block. And Cease and Luis Robert are on the block, so exclude them. But, they can do little deals like the Keenan Middletons of the world. He can be traded because he's a free agent after this year. Groot Santos, I don't think he'll be traded because I don't know what value he has to other teams other than the the 5 more years of control and then the 9900 mile per hour sinker, whatever he offers.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty
when the White Sox would want that more than any other team in the major leagues because they would have that control and that pitcher that they have developed into this. So I would think maybe a small deal like Kendall Graveman or Joe Kelly, if they're not included into a Lance Lynn deal, might go before. But he does have the most value coming back. And if he's got 4 teams in the major leagues, we saw what Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez got us. You're probably going to get a nice return for Lance Lynn. Not anything mind-blowingly great, but for a 2-month rental, what they got for Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez shocked me. And if 4 teams are battling for him, I'm thinking that the deal might be decent enough for a pitcher that's got a 7 ERA almost.
Well, and I keep saying mystery team, but I do have in my notes here. This is from Heyman's post in the New York Post. The Rays, Rangers, Braves, and Dodgers are the teams believed to be in on Lance Lynn. So the mystery team is just the other first place team in Atlanta. So I mean, it is seemingly like there's interest around the league for Lance Lynn. And I know there's a lot of negatives that people have been pointing out, like the ERA, like the 28 home runs. But there is a lot of things, especially against lefties, with this home run to fly ball ratio that, maybe you could see that dip down and, the player that we know and the competitor that we know, the fierce guy, could come out in Lance Lynn. I think, again, trying to figure out the whole trade thing is how many packages are we going to see like Reynaldo Lopez and Lucas Giolito. Rosenthal today said he would put the over-under at 5 and would probably say it's over 6 trades for the White Sox to be made this deadline. But if Lance Lynn and we see Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly both be interested by the Dodgers and Rays are both interested in Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly, according to, I think Heyman wrote about the Dodgers' interest in Kelly. I mean, could we just see Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly go in a package, and that's how these players move? I mean, it does seem like Rick Hahn has a lot of things to try to balance this deadline.
Yeah, that's true because there are so many players that appear to be drawing interest. But I think the main thing is the trades happen when the trades happen. There's no order that they need to go in. They don't need to knock this out in any specific, ranking of guys. If someone and Rick Hahn get a deal together for Kendall Graveman to go to some team tomorrow, then that's what will happen. You know what I mean? They don't have to move on to the next thing. So when we talk about what's next, we talk about all this stuff being next. It's not just what's next as in the one singular move. It's what's next between now and that deadline on Tuesday evening. And a lot of things are next, and it's going to tell us a lot. Maybe we're not going to get this big shift in franchise direction if there's not a position player or a guy like Dylan Cease traded this deadline, and that will tell us what the White Sox are trying to do as well. But maybe it is just the emptying of the bullpen, so to speak, and Lance Lynn joins them, and there's a lot of pitching that needs to be replaced moving into next year. It could make for an interesting final 2 months to this season. We've already got Touki Toussaint probably moving into that spot in the rotation that was left behind by Giolito going to the Angels. Mike Clevenger is supposed to be off the IL, and probably will pitch on Saturday. But if Lynn goes, who else you got? You putting Jesse Schultens in the rotation for the remainder of the season. And then obviously the bullpen. If you lose all these guys, I mean, who's the closer? Is it Aaron Bummer? Is it, if Aaron Bummer goes, who's the closer? Is it Santos? So there's a lot to be determined in terms of what this pitching staff is going to look like, even if the position players side of things is kind of locked in moving forward into 2024.
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll talk a little bit more about all these rumors that are going out, because there's some stuff about TA from Heyman, about the market for him. And again, we kind of talked about that earlier about the position players seeming stagnant, but it does seem like, I mean, this bullpen could possibly be completely cleared out with all the people that are available. And the fact that the White Sox, again, just have so much to offer, and there's just not many teams that are leaning one way or the other. I mean, we even see in chat who thinks the Marlins would be buyers, but David Robertson to the Marlins, according to Rosenthal. And I think they just made a trade to get Jorge Lopez from the Marlins, from the Twins as well. So, I mean, Kim Ng is out here acting, trying to get the batting champ Luis Arraez a ring. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk a little bit more about these rumors and the White Sox and this trade deadline that's upcoming. Want to let you know about our friends over at FOCO. Get fit in the best sports gear around. They have hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. It's baseball season, so get your Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game over at FOCO. We're not right now on the set, but they've given us some lovely bobbleheads to really flesh it. I always hate saying flesh out. It's odd. Why did that ever become a term? Is it like flesh, like flesh? Okay. All right. FOCO though. Then I mean, just FOCO. I think of bobblehead. Bobbleheads are made of flesh. You broke up. What was that? Okay. Anyways, check out foco.com or click the description below for all non-presale items. Use promo code CHGO for 10% off. Again, use code CHGO for 10% off all non-presale items. Check out, again, foco.com or click the link in the description below. Thank you, FOCO. Also, check out Lewis University if you are looking to get a degree. Students are just like you at Lewis University. They have full-time jobs, families, full-time sports fandoms. You can go back to school to earn a respected degree at Lewis University. It's 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville, and it's ranked as one of U.S. News and World Report's top-tier colleges. If you're looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right programs for you. Maybe you're, a South Suburb kid. You'd probably be going into your senior year. Maybe you're looking for something close by. I went to St. Xavier. Lewis is also probably a better option. Not to bag on St. Xavier, but it was if you're not going for communications, I don't know if you should go there. Looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right programs for you. Lewis offers several career-focused programs that will set you up for success. We're going to highlight one here, like their criminal justice public safety program. First responders receive 20% off tuition discount, and tuition is deferred for 6 weeks after the end of each class. The Sox booth welcomed in the guys for the police and fire game that's happening at Guaranteed Rate Field on August 2nd. So, hey, maybe you're one of those guys looking to get one of your degrees from Rosemont. So discover how a degree from Lewis University can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/YOU. Can do this probably if it's South Burbs, Lamont would be closer.
Westmont. Also,
Westmont.
Flesh out is an expression that,
thank you, Rich Hill,
dates back from the 19th century and more modern abbreviation of older expressions like put the flesh on the bones of something, which dates back to the 1600s.
Look at you, Herb. We should make that a series where you explain what's flesh out. Is that not like an adjective?
Idiom.
What idiom? You should explain idioms. Anyways, a lot of rumors going around. Let's start off first with the TA one. This one, again, is from Heyman. Sox are having a nice sale, but interest is limited so far in struggling star Tim Anderson. How surprising to you, Herb, is it that, TA doesn't have this kind of bubbling market? Is it something that you might see develop closer to August 1st and we saw Ahmed Rosario dealt by the Guardians?
I'm not surprised that people are not calling necessarily for Tim. I'm more surprised that Rick is not calling for people to pick up the phone, like a team he sees struggling at the shortstop and or second base position, and trying to, drum up some interest or see if there's interest where they can give them somewhere near where Rick and them are looking for. But, it's interesting that people are not calling, and maybe they are waiting for other shortstops to settle somewhere else, other shortstops that are teams that are sellers that are a little bit better and showed a little bit more consistency this year. Tim could just be this player this year. And so teams might be skittish on who they're getting. And then they have to sign him for another year next year, not knowing the player who they're getting. I think the good player is still there and is coming back, but it's a big time risk you're taking to bring a person of Tim's stature to your team. So you buyer beware on Tim, because you don't know what you're getting. But it would take a very, very confident GM, a person that is well within their job and has a lot of skins on the wall, to trade for Tim at this point. Because what are you getting for this year and a half you're going to have him for?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the guy's obviously had a bad year. He's struggling, and there's been health, that has impacted that, not just this season, but last season as well. So, it also maybe seems like, why would we call up and ask if the guy who's the face of a franchise is available? Now, obviously, that might not be what's going through the minds of GMs, but this is a guy who, we've talked about so many times would be a valuable player for the White Sox to retain moving into next season. Who knows what those phone calls are like and what those conversations are like, or the lack thereof. We're just getting it from a tweet, but he's obviously having a down year. And if your idea is that you want him to boost your chances at winning a World Series right now, and he's going up there and kind of lost, yeah, it makes sense that you wouldn't be injecting someone who's on a tear into your lineup. You'd be injecting someone who's still searching for himself and could be for a while still.
Yeah, and Melissa's saying, Tim shines in the limelight. I agree with that. I really do think that he would help out a contender. But you look at the Guardians, and I know that they're not the model of every single contender because they have such a low budget. But the average salary of an MLB shortstop, according to SpotRack, is like $2.5 million. Tim's making about $10 million over that. Like, do you really want to take on that salary for the player that is struggling as much as he is? I mean, we saw a little bit of a bump for him after the All-Star break, but it didn't continue tonight. I mean, kind of lousy night for the Sox all around outside of Jake Berger. I mean, I get it. And it seems like the Sox aren't really going to be too interested in adding more money for 2024. I mean, there hasn't been a clear direction stated by Rick Hahn, but I would be surprised if they spend over $100 million. I mean, there was comments made today by Rick Giolito on 6-7 The Score on the Parkins and Spiegel show. They told them that the White Sox tried to negotiate an extension with Lucas after the 2019 season, but then never again attempted to take it seriously. And we brought up the comments from Rick Hahn earlier in the show in Rosemont about the Sox, would love to bring Raylo or Lucas Giolito back. And I brought up the point that he said that with Carlos Rodon and Jose Abreu. I would be shocked, again, if the White Sox went out and signed a player of, Lucas's caliber in this offseason. And, it really doesn't seem like there's a market to replace shortstop in the 2024 market. It seems like, why not roll it back with Tim, especially with what he's built up in Chicago? It just seems like it makes sense if you're not going to get anyone interested to just keep him around, because again, you signed him to that extension, and that extension looks so great for your team. And then the second he starts having a bad season, it kind of all falls apart. I don't know. It seems odd that he's just not more involved in the market, but we'll see. There was also a report from John Morosi yesterday that Aaron Bummer is a trade candidate. He has the ability to obviously control through 2026, but multiple contenders are looking for left-handed bullpen help. We saw him tonight. We saw him last night as well. Pretty good outings for him. I know he had that crazy Josh Naylor double, but again, I think Stephen Kwan also hit Benintendi caught that one, but Bummer being showcased in the past 2 nights. Him, Middleton, Graveman, Kelly all seem up for grabs. So I would say, yeah, Lance Lynn's probably the first to go, and it seems like Bummer or Middleton are the easiest to move in that bullpen. I think Graveman, again, is with him making as much money as he does, is he truly worth it to a contender? I'm not really sure.
We'll see. I mean, I think you can point back to his experience. I mean, he was pitching in the playoffs with the Astros just 2 years ago. He was pitching in the World Series with them. He's a guy who's been there and done that before, and a respected veteran. And I think that teams look at that and say, oh, we can get that. We can get that experience. We can get that for our clubhouse. We can get that demeanor on the mound. We don't need to worry about some new guy who's never been there before kind of shaking in his cleats. This is a guy who's been under the brightest lights. And certainly that's the case with Joe Kelly, right? I mean, Joe Kelly's got 2 World Series rings, has not been afraid to go after everybody and pitch in the absolute biggest moments for his team. So I think those characteristics are going to be valued in those guys. Certainly that applies to Lance Lynn too, I think. I mean, obviously a little less playoff experience than than a guy like Joe Kelly, but all of that veteran savvy, I think, is valuable to teams as they look to win in the playoffs and get to the playoffs and then win on those stages. So Aaron Bummer, the control is probably attractive to certain teams. And I think that the stuff has just always been really good. It's just a matter of luck that we've seen here over the last couple of seasons. And Exhibit A on that Josh Naylor hit, I think it hit home plate, the pitching rubber, and second base all in 3 bounces, which is just ridiculous. But these are guys who, despite what this team's record looks like, have pitched well for the most part this season. Lance Lynn obviously has had greater struggles than the rest of them, and Kendall Graveman has had some memorable moments that didn't go his way either. But I think overall, there's a reason that so many teams are giving calls to the White Sox and asking about these arms.
It's a weird thing. Again, and I said this earlier in our first show, that Aaron Bummer is just running into some bad luck. He's doing Aaron Bummer type things and inducing ground balls. That one that Vinny just brought up, it's just the oddest thing I've ever seen. Like off the plate, off the rubber, off second base for a double. Weird. I don't know how hard that ball was hit, but he's got a 6+ ERA. His FIP is below 250. So fielding independent pitching. So he's doing something right. And I fear that once he goes to another team, just like Jake Diekman has with the Tampa Bay Rays, things will get figured out. The numbers will reflect how he's pitched, which I don't think the numbers reflect how well he's pitched. It's actually making him look terribly. Like the B-WAR is negative this year, but I think the pitcher that the White Sox signed for this long-term deal is still in there, and the numbers will reflect a little bit better years to come. So to trade him, I think you would have to get something that's not knocking your socks off, but something that's close to a replacement to him, because you really don't have a lot.
His pitch mix is violent. Hey, they just got Kai Bush. What are you talking about? That's their lefty reliever. They got Garrett Crochet. Bummer.
Like those in between guys. We got 2 in between left-handers. Great.
Yeah.
Reliever / starter.
If you have 2 of them, that means you have at least one of them. I think the math adds up there. Bummer when he finds his stuff. I mean, he's just got an unhittable pitch mix, and that delivery is just so unique that if you have guys throwing over the top and, like a righty throwing over the top, and guys are just so used to that, they've seen him like 2 times, 3 times, especially in a playoff game, and they're just so geared up for that. And then you throw Aaron Bummer out there, he's throwing that loopy sweeper, and he's throwing that horrible, like 95 to 96 mile per hour sinker on your hands. Like, that guy's a nightmare to face. Let's take a quick break, let people know about our Die Hard event coming up, and then we'll play some Lucas Giolito stuff and get to some other teams, and we'll wrap this up and be done shortly here. But the CHGO Kickoff Classic at Cog Hill is on August 25th at 9 a.m. Tickets include 18 holes with a cart, an exclusive CHGO and Pins and Ace polo for all players. We'll also have some hole contests, giveaways, and prizes throughout the event, and there'll be lunch, drinks, and a ceremony after the round. And diehards get a discount, so head over to allchgo.com. Members, when you sign up, get a free t-shirt when you become a member. There's also a members only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. Also some premium written content for members over at allchgo.com. I know Adam Hogue has a piece that was just posted this week, so go check that out and get 20% off events like the Crosstown Classic that's coming up on August 16th, or the Kickoff Classic on August 25th at Cog Hill. And we also have the CHGO Locker Summer Sale. If you're just looking for a shirt, we have up to 50% off select items through 7:30. So check out chgolocker.com or allchgolocker.com to become a diehard, or to check out any of the lovely stuff.
We lost Vinny.
About the what? We lost Vinny.
Oh, no. Oh, there he is. There's Vinny.
Oh,
okay.
The
diehard label is over his face.
I didn't realize we were looking at the live thing.
Steven
I was just kept looking
face.
at I have ADHD, so I just kept looking at Steven scrolling. But yeah, or check out allchgo.com for the Kickoff Classic info. All right, let's get to the Geo stuff. It's exciting to talk about some other teams here. First, I want to go to the Angels. A lot of interesting stuff. Well, let's just go to the guy the Angels got first, because again, as we talked about, we were in the stands and they said Shohei Ohtani's not going anywhere. And then we got on the bus and then they acquired Lucas Giolito. They immediately went out and bought. So Lucas is going to talk about the excitement of going to a buyer and a team fighting for the pennant. I think I left in the remark about his new teammate throwing a one-hitter and then hitting a home run, and also his feelings about you guys, the fans. So here's Lucas Giolito.
Well, it was definitely like a little shocking. You know, I've been seeing like all this stuff writers were saying in Twitter and everything. And I saw certain teams that were out there. And then, you know, after the game, it was funny. I saw Lopi. I came out of the shower and I saw Lopi, and, you know, he's dapping guys up. And I was like, oh, you got traded, Lope? Where are you going? Anaheim. Like, oh my God. You know, this is going to be the first time in our whole career we're not teammates. You know, we've been together since we were like 18 years old with the Nationals. And then I got dressed and I got called in the office, and I was in the same trade as him. So I guess they're not going to break us up. But yeah, I mean, initially kind of shocking. I knew something like this was coming, but at the same time, you know, when it actually happens, it is quite a surreal moment. You know, last night was my last game in the dugout as a White Sox, and yeah, I mean, a lot of emotions. You know, I grew up here as a player and as a man. A lot of failure, a lot of success, and you know, I owe this organization so much. This city, the fans. It's been an absolute pleasure.
But you can understand Sox fans probably wondering what the heck happened from 20 to 23 here, the arc that this team went on, and I know you got a lot going on in your head, but how can you sum it up?
It's hard to put into words. It's, you know, very unfortunate. Obviously, one of the first things that comes to mind is the injury bug. It's plagued this team over the last few years, and it's been hard to find a rhythm and consistency with all that kind of stuff going on. But, you know, I'm always going to have, you know, the White Sox in my heart. Like I said before, you know, I grew up here, so always going to be rooting for them. You know, we'll see what happens.
Any message for fans and how they received you here for the last several years?
White Sox fans are a very passionate bunch. You know, the excitement they showed when I first came over here in the trade, welcomed me into, you know, this organization, the city, sticking with me through some very difficult times. You know, 2018 comes to mind, last year comes to mind, and then just all the love and support. Like my phone going on Twitter and Instagram, it's just filled with amazing emotional messages from so many fans, you know, that I've got a chance to, you know, perform in front of for the last 6-7 years. Yeah, it really means a lot. Yeah, wonderful, passionate fan base, and, you know, like I said, I'm hoping that at some point in the future they can, you know, have a lot more fun watching this team play well.
What a nice guy. We hope we're having more fun too soon, Lucas. And hey, maybe you'll return. I'm not opposed. But I'm excited for Lucas, and the Angels are a very interesting story. Shohei Ohtani today, and this is from Sam Blum, an Angels beat writer. From the beginning, my plan was to finish the season with the Angels. Nothing is really going to change my mentality, but all the people talking about the trades, That's all going to be gone. I feel like I'll just focus on taking this team to the playoffs. He said this after his complete game one hitter, and then he went out and hit a homer in the next game. I think the first time in my 6 years that we've been buyers, we've been sellers the last 5 years. So this is new to me. I just want to get to know the new guys and welcome them and compete all together. And Perry Manason, right? Or Manason? Okay. I never went to Shohei and said, hey, we're not trading you. I think I made it pretty clear. I don't know the last time we talked. I said he wasn't going anywhere. I don't know if anyone believed me. I don't think it's somebody who we wanted to move. This is a special player having a unique season with a team that has a chance to win. To me, that's grounds for trying to improve the club. So it is exciting to see, Shohei have this amazing, amazing year, and the Angels kind of doubling down and saying, all right, well, let's try to do something, because again, I wouldn't want to have that guy in an Angels uniform and then see him play anywhere else. I mean, how much do you think the Boston Red Sox or the Boston Bean Eaters regretted seeing Babe Ruth in a Yankees uniform? So I just kind of love this for the sport. Apparently, one of rival executive and anonymously said to Ken Rosenthal, it's very NBA. They're doing anything to keep the star in LA. And I thought it was a very odd comment, because I think that's a good thing. The NBA is a great product. Let's be more like the NBA.
Indeed. And I think it's great that Lucas gets a chance to be in a playoff situation again, because we remember the great playoff performance he had when he had the no-hitter up to a point and then gave it up. I think he gave up 2 hits in that game versus Oakland. And now going and joining a rotation with Shohei, Ohtani, Tyler Anderson, Sandoval, and Detmers, I think they're 3.5 games out of the third wild card, which I think is KPW's Toronto Blue Jays, who, ironically, Lucas Giolito will be making his first start against Friday night. I think that's a good, aggressive move to, yes, keep your star happy, but also not have and flail out when it's at the end of Shohei Ohtani's contract with the Angels. You signed him for a certain amount of years. Use him. He's the best player in baseball, maybe baseball history, when he ends it. So take him and have him on your team as long as you can and make him as happy as he can. And I think a point was made up today. I was listening to Locked On Angels, where you want him to have the Angels do what they have done for him, where they're shifting things. Like he pitched today's first game, so he didn't have to fly to Toronto and then start on Friday night. Like they moved the schedule around to Shohei's ability, not the other way around. And maybe he goes to another team and they're not willing to do that, or they're not doing that from the jump. And so Shohei's taking a risk going to another team that's just going to pay him a bunch of money to do what he needs to do, where Angels have already established that they're going to do it already for them. And they have Mike Trout still on the team for many more years, and they're adding people like Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez to help them down the stretch to try to get that elusive playoff thing, because if they get in the playoffs, anything can happen if you have Shohei Ohtani on the bump and him hitting. I mean, having the best player is not a bad thing in the playoffs.
His slugging percentage is like 700.
He had 2 homers today, by the way, Sean.
What?
Not just one, 2.
Yes, 2. Yes,
2.
In the second game?
In the second game, he had 2 home runs. Yeah.
What the hell? He's got like 7 triples. This guy is so.
He leads the league in that too.
He's the best hitter, and he is a top 5 pitcher. I mean, it breaks my brain, and he's insane. I mean, I couldn't handle 1 homer, so now he's got 2.
Yeah, and hey,
it doesn't make sense.
When you've got that guy, you should be going for it with 3.5. When you're only 3.5 games out of the playoff spot. Every team should be going for it when you're only 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. When you got that guy, you can close that gap. And if you're going to do stuff like the Angels did last night to help him out too, this is a team that I think basically the entire time they've had Mike Trout, we've wondered where's the pitching coming from? Where's the pitching coming from? Well, they went and got a pitcher last night, so that's a step in the right direction, certainly. They play in a tough division. They play in a tough league with a lot of really good teams, but they got the best player. So we're going to see if that's enough to get it done. And man, you just would like to see him and Mike Trout be able to play playoff baseball, because that would make people turn on playoff baseball on their TV. That's why.
I'm just hoping that, Lucas Giolito gets in, my guy Taylor Ward gets in, and hey, who wouldn't want to see Zach Nato getting some playoff action too? I mean, the true stars will shine in October. I mean, those Ohtani and Trout guys, they're all right. I think they're a little washed. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this show, guys?
Stay tuned. It's going to be a busy few days on the South Side.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll see who the next domino to fall is.
Yeah, if anything breaks over the weekend, we'll all be available to jump on. One of us, two of us, all three of us will be available to break down and give you exactly what went down and our thoughts on it.
I will be very clear right now. If they make a trade from the hours to 1 to like 4 tomorrow, can't do it.
Okay.
I'm going to Barbie. So.
Oh. I'm going to Barbie this weekend also.
Let's go. So Herb will be busy. We might be doing a 2-man podcast because one of us might be in Barbie. All right. So we'll see you everybody later on. That's
Vinny, have you already gone to Barbie?
I have not. We were on vacation for a long time, and so when you get back from vacation, obviously you got to work a whole ton of days in a row. So not a lot of movie going opportunities, but we'll find one before it's out of theaters, I'm sure.
All right, well, go get some rest, Vinny. It's been a long day for you. I mean, the only reason I brought up the shirt was because Herb was like, "Oh, and I put on a new shirt," and I was like, "I would hope so. You went home, wouldn't you have showered and then put on a new shirt?" So you're just showing that again. This isn't a Rush reference. I know you have a Rush shirt. Just a working man, the working man you are. Follow Vinnie Duber on Twitter, at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And you can check out his latest article at allchgo.com about Lance Lynn's comments today about him wanting more transparency with the front office. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. We really do appreciate you guys and gals and ladies. And hit the thumbs up button. We love everybody. Bye.